your name. I don't care what these people gon' do, what these people gon' say, what these people gon' bang. We out here making disciples, we in the world, but we can't be the same. Okay. So I went for my hand on the Bible, speaking the truth.
And welcome to Believe Ball Become. Not sure what part this is going to be because we've already recorded a couple episodes. Let's just say it that way.
Right? This is the fourth?
This is the fourth one we've recorded. Right now we have 2 of those fully edited and about ready to go. Not fully edited, but put together. But anyways, we've been putting some work in, doing some different things, but we kind of realized that we never really talked about like why we wanted to do this, what this is. And so we kind of wanted to, record this to just kind of talk about things and talk about how we started and why we want to do this and where we want this to go to. So
we got a list here. So
we got a bunch of questions
talk about,
and things we're going to go over. Is there anything you want to what is like the main point of why we are doing this podcast to you?
It's fun. It's fun for sure. I'm not much of a talker unless it's, something I really want to talk about. The small talk is not really me. And I think that doing a podcast, you get away from the small talk a lot, which is really, really fun. So that would be the biggest thing. But, we're going to talk here the next 2 or 3 questions probably just about a lot of things that kind of influenced us to do this. And I would say wanting to talk about basketball, but also just wanting to get out of our comfort zone and do something fun and use our voice. And so talking about basketball, talking about our beliefs and what we want to do, and using a podcast is a great way to do it. I feel like a lot of people do this in today's age. So that'd be me. What do you think?
I think for me, I've always kind of wanted to do a podcast or something like that. Like if I had like a third dream job, it would be to be like a broadcaster or like be on TV or on sports radio or something along those lines, just talking sports, because I could just talk sports with anybody. Football, basketball, soccer, a little bit of baseball here and there, but I love sports. Basketball is my number one, of course. It's the one sport I've played my whole life, but I love football. I love watching soccer. I love the whole thing around soccer and football, like the passion for it.
Yeah.
And I that's what I love about basketball is people who love basketball have the passion for it.
For sure.
And with football, it's taken over America. Soccer is taking over the world. But basketball is slowly becoming that third sport without a doubt.
Yeah.
And worldwide, it's probably number 2 or 3 with cricket.
Yeah.
So
especially after the past Olympics that just happened, that was crazy, especially for U.S. fans. But it was rocking, and I feel like there's a lot of different countries that were impacted by that, and the whole world got to watch it. And you might be from a different country, but you still love the NBA, and you still love Steph, you love LeBron, you love Kevin Durant. So getting to see that one last time, and there's a lot of generations of me and Ben are in 2 different generations, damn near. So everybody got to witness that, and I think it's kind of cool that basketball, not just basketball, sports, but basketball in general connects tons of different people from different places. And so I'd say that's where we get a big part of our passion, is just being able to connect on that level of sports. And we talk about it every day at work. It never fails. We spend hours in here talking about it. So it's kind of what keeps us going.
Yep. Where was the first place you got the idea? What was your first, dream or inspiration? Where did you get the idea to start a podcast?
It's actually kind of funny. I worked at Schweitzer's Produce in Cobden for 4 summers, and he just listened to podcasts all the time. And I was young when I heard my first one. I was like, dude, what is this? Why are they? He would play podcasts where people would watch movies. So at first I was like, you're watching a movie while talking? What is that? But the more that I listened, he listened to a ton of different people, usually politics. And so I was like, let me look into this. And I think my first one I found was Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan, he's done 2,000 some odd videos now, and they're all pretty good. He's got people on there talking about whatever. They look up, different world events. They look up memes. They just kind of connect. And I think that being out there with Schweitzer and listening to other people talk kind of gave me the idea of that's really, really cool. Those people are just having conversation and recording it. And I'm still growing up, obviously, but I was growing up a lot then, just getting out of high school and getting to listen to other people's ideas and how they just talked. And even if they disagreed, they just talked, put it out there. I think that's where I got my first original idea to do it. And then after that, you find JJ Redick's Old Man in the Three, and you find Matt Barnes' All the Smoke. You find all these other really good podcasts that are talking about stuff that you like. And I think that's kind of what grabbed my attention and made me want to do it.
Yeah, I'd have to say for me, like I said, I've always kind of wanted to do something like this. And I did 2 episodes with some friends before, and it was actually really fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. But I just didn't have enough experience with technology.
Or patience.
Patience for sure. And like we all kind of, it was hard because we wanted to have like 3, 4, 5, 6 people on it all at once, or, going doing different times, but trying to get all those people on the same schedule was really hard. And so it just didn't work out, and it was really frustrating because it's something, like I said, we do every day. We're in here talking sports. All of our old buddies, they come in, bring up their fantasy football team.
Yep.
They, bring up the Olympics coming next summer.
Even the high schoolers that work here, it's like we're talking to them about their high school sports. Like it's a never-ending cycle. It doesn't matter who you talk to. It kind of always comes back to sports. So.
Yeah, and so I've always kind of wanted to do this, and like you said, seeing more and more just random people, or even just like people you'd never expect. Like everybody has a podcast now. Half the NBA has a podcast. Like there's a lot of high school kids around here that I've seen lately. Some of those high school kids have really good podcasts.
Yeah.
Like they just graduated, and all their buddies, they get together and they have pretty good little podcasts.
Yep.
So it's just something I've always kind of wanted to do, and maybe not even exactly doing podcasts. Maybe it's YouTube videos and doing some different social media stuff. Like I think it's just, I've always loved YouTube. Like I've been a big YouTube guy, especially the last 10
iPad
years.
Kid.
Like anything I do, I'm pulling up a YouTube video because it's, it's not 30 seconds long, but it's not an hour and a half long. So it's like that. You can find your 10-minute video. You can find your 30-minute video.
You can find a 3-hour video if you really want.
And you find all these creators that you like feel a connection with, and you watch them grow through their content. And so
and
it's
you learn a
something
lot.
I've always kind of like felt connected to, and like watch other people do. And I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. And really, anybody can. Like you just have to, spend a little bit of money to get the stuff. Like you don't have to spend a lot. Like we spent a little bit more than I probably should have, but I had a lot of different people help get different things to get us to this point. But you just have to be able to be willing to spend time on it and do it consistently and love it. Because if you don't love it and you don't spend the time on it, it's not going to be any good.
Yeah.
So we want this to be good, and we both really think we can do it.
Yep.
Going off of it being good, what are your goals for it?
I want to reach a lot of people. I think that using my social media the way that I have already, I've gotten the opportunity to project my voice and reach people, and that's really, really cool. It's a little, nerve-wracking. It can can make you a little anxious sometimes being in the spotlight, I guess. So there will definitely be times like that on here where we're talking, and it's like, trying to figure out what to say, how to say it, how we want to project it. But that would be my biggest goal, is being able to project what we want to say, whether it is a basketball or a belief thing or inspiring the younger generation or even the older generation, older generations that we look up to see this, and they're like, that's really, really cool. Maybe we would want to do that, or maybe we want to hop on an interview, which is something that we'll get into in the next question. But that would definitely be my biggest goal, is projecting. Other things like having interviews, obviously getting new people on here and connecting, getting to learn how to edit, getting to learn how to put stuff together. Like there's a ton of goals, but I really just want to learn how to project my voice and be heard by the other generations that may have goals just like we do, like he said, and anyone can do it, but sometimes you just need that extra little push. And I think that there's been so many different people that, like he mentioned, that I went to high school with, or that he went to high school with, that start podcasts, and we see their videos and we're like, wow, that is really, really good. Like whether you expected them to be good or not doesn't matter, but it's the fact that they've put it out, and it's like, okay, well, if they can do it, why couldn't we do it? And that would definitely be my goal, is just getting uncomfortable, getting out there and projecting my voice. What do you think?
I've always kind of felt like, being the 6'7" guy, I've always been somebody who's seen. I've never really liked being the guy who's heard. I'm very soft-spoken, little bit of a mumbler. So I've just never been somebody who talks.
What'd you say?
I don't talk very much to people that I don't know, and like people that I don't know well. I'll give them the hello, hi, I'll be nice, and how everybody loves me, I love everybody else. It's nothing like that, but I've always just kind of been shy, and being 6'7", I've always been seen, and so I've always felt like I have something to say, and it needs to be heard, and I've always said I don't really care about money. I definitely do not want to be famous or anything like that. But if what I do and like my passion for different things could inspire somebody else, even if it's just one person, if it's 10 people, 100 people, like I feel like that's kind of been my whole life goal, is to inspire people. And so if we can do that on here just by talking, like you said, interviewing different people, there's so many different people I know that I think their voice and their story would be so inspiring to so many people. I'd just love to have the chance to be able to put that out and put together something special, because, we start now. I just saw Mr. Beast's 10-year later video yesterday. 10 years later, he's got 400-something million subscribers.
It's crazy.
And all he expected was 1 million.
Yeah.
So as long as you come in and give everything your all, you never know. Like, you might be that person.
Yep.
Especially if that's what you love,
yep.
if that's what you care about, if that's what you think about all the time, do it, go for it, be passionate about it, and just keep the main thing the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. And be okay with failing. Be okay with having to learn how to be patient. And like he said, he tried it before and it didn't work out, and you could blame it on and plenty of reasons, but the main thing is he didn't quit and he tried again, and you got to just keep trying. This one could fail, or this could go south, and we'll just keep trying. So that for sure is something we kind of want to project, is go after your dreams, go after what you want to do, go after what you feel like is going to make you feel fulfilled, because that is one of the biggest goals in life, I feel like, is you got to feel fulfilled at the end of the day. So I guess since we talked about interviews already, we've already done a 2K video, and I'm sure that getting Braden on here, we'll do some other 2K videos. We've talked about doing different challenges and stuff, just being inspired by people like Mr. Beast. It seems kind of cool to do stuff like that in a small community like this, but there's other people we want to interview too. So I guess, we don't want to pick one. So give me like 2 or 3 that you think you'd want to get on here and interview. And I'm sorry if we leave anyone out, because trust me, we got a big list over here of people that we already want to interview. So
it's like, I'm just going through my whole, like, I could give you like 3 groups of people, like all of my Northland people,
10.
Like any of my teammates, any of my coaches. Like, honestly, one of the things I wanted to do with the first podcast when we started like a year too late was to basically do a whole interview about Coach Heron and put a whole documentary together about it. And because, like, getting to play for a legend like that, he coached an NBA Hall of Famer in high school. He coached Michael Jordan's head coach when he was in high school, and he was my college coach. Like, he was best friends with the number 3 coach in all time in wins in the NBA. Jerry Sloan was best friends with Rich Heron. And that was my college coach. And some of the things and stories and people that he met and knew, and the different people he gave chances to, like, anybody that I can interview about him is something I would definitely want to do. What's one for you that you can think of right now?
Definitely just thinking of people that I look up to. I could name any of them, but kind of going past that, because that's an obvious one. Past teammates, for sure, people that I went to high school with. Kind of like Ross, honestly. But also new connections that I'm making. So people that I'm going to be meeting in the next year that I've already met over social media, whether it's other trainers, other coaches. Like, I think it would be cool to bring people like that on here and give people from our community a different point of view of, what it's like to live and chase dreams outside of Southern Illinois, because most people, they move out, they don't come back. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that it's pretty cool whenever someone like me gets to meet all these people, or someone like Ben gets to meet all the people he met at Northland, or anyone else that goes and does something, and then you get to interview those people that come from like different roots and different backgrounds. That's really, really cool to be able to put out. And so obviously going past, any past coaches, thinking about any legendary coaches from here, like Coach Ron, we'd love to interview those type of people. We'd love to interview our parents. We've talked about having a Mother's Day or a Father's Day podcast, but for sure just people from different backgrounds, different communities that have came up way differently than we have and dealt different cards. Just letting them kind of talk and getting their voice out would be really cool, as well as people from here who have dreams and want to project their voice too. Like, that'd be a great idea too. So I see it as a way to connect, but I also see it as a way to let other people get on here and, like you said, let their voice be heard. So for sure.
Even like, the Cohen family, like, I know they're all a little bit crazy and we love them all.
We do.
But like, they could talk and they could tell you all kinds of wild and amazing stories.
Yep.
Like Mike Smith,
Yep.
Coach Mike. I mean, he's one of my number one thoughts when I think of somebody to interview, because he could tell you all kinds of stories.
It don't matter if it's true or not. He can go on with it, and he'll have you sitting there thinking that he, had dinner with Michael Jordan. So, which he might have.
There's so many different people that we could interview and get good conversations from. But what are some other like videos you think we could do besides just interviews? Like we did the 2K with Braden. We could definitely do more of those. I think we definitely will. What are some other like video ideas? Maybe some YouTube videos, like some vlogs, whatever it is. What are some of your ideas?
Well, assuming that we do huddle again this year, which is something I really want to do with our junior high team, I think that coming on here and maybe breaking down things from our junior high or even the high school season, things that worked for us, things that, maybe we have a kid that he's really good at passing the ball, so here's some different plays that we run up at the high school or at the junior high level that kind of get us into our best player in open space or whatever that might be. So I think that like skill breakdowns or film breakdowns would be something really cool we could do on here, whether that be actually, videoing the screen right here or walking through it on a whiteboard. Like, we could do both for all I care, but I think that would be kind of cool just because we talk so much about basketball and plays and what we want to do and, what our high school does well and what they could do better and what our junior high does well and what they could do better. And so I think that maybe getting on here and making highlight tapes for, a game or the kids or something, and just kind of reacting to what went on. Like if someone has a 30-point game, like, all right, let's get on here and react to it. What they do well, what they do bad. That would definitely be my guess, but I mean, we already did the 2K video and that was fun, so we definitely got to do that again.
So I think we could, set up at the church and do some in real life too, like basketball challenges, like, whether it's ultimate horse, ultimate pig, half court challenges. We could even tie some of that into 2K, like, we do challenges to get spins or players or different things. Like, I think we could do some of that. I think we could definitely do some vlogs, some day in the lives, like some full day in the lives, like in Wiffle Boys, in practice, in games, like stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think we could tie some of that in. I think, like I was talking about Coach Herron, I think we could do some like documentary style, like longer videos where we go and interview multiple people and kind of cut it up and put it together. I think if we get big enough and we do enough work, we could get to the point where we could do stuff like that. So
I've got a lot of ideas for people that we could interview in terms of that we've played against, like past college athletes that went and made it pretty far. So that'd definitely be pretty cool. But you go first on this one. Where'd you get your passion for basketball?
It has to be my dad. He was the one who would take me to Upward when I was young. He was the one. He didn't coach me except for 1 year, my 5th grade year, at Noyes Elementary in St. Joseph, Missouri. Besides that, he refused to coach me, which I actually appreciated. I appreciate having him on the sideline as my fan, because when he was my coach, sometimes we would butt heads, and I didn't want to listen to him, even though he was normally right, but I just didn't like to be told what to do. I already got to listen to him at home. I don't want to listen to him on the floor, but he was 6'4", 6'5", always talked about how good he was. He'd walk in a gym, pick a ball up, and just shoot it, and it'd go in. And I was like, how do you do that? He'd tell me how to do it, and I couldn't do it. I was like, no, you're wrong, because I just tried that, and it didn't work. Yeah. It's because I was too scrawny and wasn't good enough then.
Yeah.
And so, like, he would challenge me, and whenever I was young, he would beat me every single time, and it would frustrate me. And, like, at some point, he stopped playing me one-on-one, because physically he couldn't really do it anymore. Bigger guy, kind of gets old fast, bad knees from his mom. But he would challenge. He wouldn't let me win. And then the one time I almost beat him, he fouled me so bad. He was like, "I can't play you anymore because I'm gonna have to play you like a man now, and that's not gonna be good for our relationship." Because I was still a baby then.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
where did you get your passion for basketball?
Definitely Coach Mike. Coach Mike instilled it. I think that the idea of, like you said, doing vlogs and day in the lives and getting to kind of direct my passion into kids, like show them like, this is how I grew up, this is how I learned to love basketball. That the idea of that definitely led to me doing what I do now. But originally, before all of the posting videos on social media and, trying to reach other trainers and coaches and trying to inspire kids, when I was just trying to live out the dream, it was definitely Coach Mike. He was the guy that brought me into the gym. Took really, just like anybody else. I mean, I can name plenty of different people here that he took in, but really took me in and would let me stay the night and let me hang out, give us his debit card to go get pizza at 12 a.m. and at Casey's or whatever. So just having someone like him definitely made me realize like the connection that you can build, with other people playing basketball, but also he taught me a lot of different things, like, obviously hard work, but he built me up. He was always instilling confidence in me, showing me, you can do it. You just got to work at it. And I think that the combination of showing me how to love the game and also showing me how to work hard at a young age, and then I was successful at a young age too, which kind of helped. I think that he was definitely the main person for sure. And like you said, when I was young, we'd go in the gym and he'd just throw the ball up from wherever, and I was like, holy cow. And funny that I think of this now. The other day I was telling Levi this. The first thing I ever noticed, and obviously he's stronger, he would throw the ball, and when he would throw it, obviously the ball spins backwards a little bit if you throw a chest pass right, but the way he would throw it, he'd throw it so hard and it would spin so hard it almost seemed like the ball would pick up as it was in the air. I remember loving that, and I was like, I got to figure out how to throw bullet passes. Like, if my passes aren't like that, like, I don't like it. And so that was definitely the first memory that I have of him inspiring me to want to be better, and that was just obviously needing to be stronger. But then going into the gym and being in there all the time and rebounding, we never really played one-on-one, but he played 2s and 3s with us and bringing in all the college kids and just kind of pushed me to be the best I could be, as well as my little brother. So definitely him.
Well, if it wasn't for Coach Mike, I wouldn't have played in college, because that one year I graduated high school. I had a couple D3 offers coming out of high school, and Coach Cham had set those up for me. He had told me my junior year afterwards. We went 5-25 my junior year, and at the banquet, he said, they gave me the coach's award. They kind of just made something up for me because I had improved, but I wasn't good. And we went 5-25, so it wasn't anything big. But what he did say was he believed I could play college basketball, and I was like, I'd never really even thought about it like that, because I had sucked for so long that was even out the window.
Yeah.
And that's somewhere I started to work. Got a couple offers, but it was to pay money to play, and I was like, I'm not going to pay all that money to play. So I came back and I coached my brother and Blake at Jonesboro under Coach Mike and with my dad and Roger Goins, who was also, just nice to see another perspective on things as well. But during that season, I was helping assist, and I'd get in there and run with you guys and give you guys some different perspectives on things and being kind of the young guy who could connect to you. But at one point during the season, Coach Mike told me, he was like, you better go play college ball. You only get to try so many times. He's I want to see you go play. You can do it. And he told me that night. I went and signed up on Northland's website, and Coach Herron called me the next week saying, hey, my grandson's the same age as you, and I watched you play against Carterville. I think you'd be good for our team. And I was like,
that's
wow,
crazy.
just like that.
Yeah. And that's who Coach Mike is. I can't say how many people he's told me that to go play college plenty of times, but he tells everybody that, and he instills that confidence of whether you think you can do it or not, I believe you can do it. And sometimes most times that's enough for a lot of kids, especially coming from around here. And I think that he's definitely a lot of people's biggest inspiration. He's definitely one of my bigger inspirations. Obviously, you can throw your parents in there, because my parents were all four of them. They were fantastic. They are fantastic still. They, They instill so much confidence in me. They trust that I've got the best in mind, even though like it's hard sometimes. But I would say my parents for sure, and you can throw Coach Mike in there. Like those people have been my biggest inspirations, and I would go out and say that Coach Mike has probably been a big inspiration for a majority of kids that come out of Anna/Jonesboro, because he's just there. He plays golf. He played baseball in the MLB. Like he, played college basketball. He's done it all, and he's been around, and he's flown all over the place, and been on ESPN and all that stuff, fixing their cameras and whatnot. And so kids look at that. They really look up to that. He's a big, strong, confident guy, and so he's really good at just breathing confidence into you, just like a parent would. And I used to always tell everyone, even my parents, like he is my third dad. He is easily that person that definitely gave me the passion for basketball, but also inspired me, which leads us into our next question that I already answered.
Real quick, before you say that, I have to shout out a couple of my angels up in the heavens. John Pingras, he was my older brother, basically. We lost him to cancer a few years ago, but he was the one who opened Anna Heights first before I started opening Anna Heights for the last 10 years. He was the one, he was like 6, 7, 8 years older than me, but he was the one who would let me come play with the older guys. He was the one who would like inspire me and challenge me and like, hey, you want to come hang out with us? I was a high school kid hanging out with college kids and post-college guys,
same.
like just –
All
being one of the
people
guys.
like John and Coach Mike.
And they would bring me in and let me play board games with them. And I was like, I'm just a little kid out here playing with all these adults. But, like, they were good people who just cared and wanted to help out. And then my other one I have to shout out is Roger Gonzalez, one of my teammates at Northland. The deep talks we had before and after we were on the team together, about basketball, he would text me every single day and ask how my day was, how my team was, what I thought about the NBA, this or that. But the passion he had for life and the passion he had for basketball and the way he could talk about it and play, I have to shout him and John Pingras and Roger Gonzalez out, my fallen angels and my some of my basketball inspirations.
For sure. Before we move on, you think about it like someone like John, not here anymore, and we're shouting him out. If you think about it, Ben lets so many people, including me, because Ben was that person that let me into the gym in 6th or 7th or 8th grade, whenever it was that I started playing, and my little brother in 3rd or 4th grade. Like John letting Ben in and Coach Mike letting me in with those older kids leads to us letting other kids in with older kids, and it's like a trickle-down effect. So you could say it's us, but it's really not us. It's those people that inspired us and the things they instilled in us, and us just kind of doing it because it's normal. It seems right. I mean, we literally said 2 summers ago we were going to start opening Anna Heights to just anyone, and half of that was because people were moving away. High school kids were going to college kids were starting families, and so a lot of the regulars that were playing weren't playing anymore. But it also just comes down to the fact that we remember being those kids that were young and we're like, dang, we really want to play with the older kids. And so I mean, some nights it sucks for us. Some nights you're in there and Ben's a foot taller than everybody else, and I'm about 25 miles per hour faster than everybody, and it is what it is. And DeMarion's blocking every little kid without jumping like an NBA player. But, you bring those kids in there and they feel felt. And in today's day and age, being able to record and being able to do what I do, like they feel even more felt and seen whenever, even if it's a bad highlight, like even if they get their ankles broke, like kids eat that stuff up. And so I think it's really, really cool to think that, yeah, we do this, but it wasn't us that came up with this idea. It was just other generations influencing us. So
I think that definitely leads into the next question about what was your first core memory of basketball?
I hated it for sure. I hated it. God, I hated it. God, yeah. Everybody knew my Uncle Nick and still knows my Uncle Nick, but that was where it originated from. Was I was pretty good at other sports in comparison to the kids in our area. And I was one of the more athletic, faster people. And so it was just like, hey, Blake, come play basketball. And looking back at it, when I was in 5th grade, the only reason I played was because of Christian Trexler. So shout out Christian. He moved from Egyptian to Jonesboro in 4th grade, and he was there in 4th and 5th grade. And he was like, come play, dude. And, he lived up the street, so we would play together. So playing with him, learning how to play horse, learning how to shoot, like just kind of, he was the first person that was way better than me at basketball, so I got to learn a lot from him. But then my first core memory of like actual school basketball was after he had moved away. I didn't want to play anymore. I was like, you know what, screw this. This ain't. I'm used to using my feet, and now you guys are putting the ball in my hands and making me dribble it. And so it was a way different experience for me. But Coach Mike, knowing my Uncle Nick and a bunch of the other people knowing my Uncle Nick in town, being like, yeah, you need to keep playing. Like, you know, he was pretty good, and you know how it is. So I stayed with it, and that's just kind of led to where we are now. I just loved it. I had a passion for working hard, and that'd be my first core memory. Definitely, you know, starting at a young age, and Ben is part of that. We were telling the kids yesterday, actually, if you're in Jonesboro Gym and you're facing the scoreboard, like you're looking at the massive scoreboard on the wall.
I don't know if we need to put this on the internet.
It's too late now. It's 10 years by. You can't do nothing now. There's a light hanging there, one of the big, you know, rectangle lights, and there's 2 chains that are hanging off of it, just kind of like dangling. That's me, and that's his fault, okay? I was in 7th grade and just kind of kicking it with Ben. I think it was me and Cameron Tweedy. I think Cameron was there. We actually went to El How that day, and the ball went up on the stage. I was like, I bet I can make this. Ben was like, try it. So I threw it, you know what I mean? And I should have just tossed it, but I like reared back and chucked it like I was throwing it from the outfield. And we hit that light. So if you're ever in there paying attention, I hit that light. We didn't hit it. I hit it. There's that's like my first thing that I was like, okay, basketball is kind of fun, and that had nothing to do with playing. So all of that put together, Christian, you know, being influenced to play by other people who knew my uncle, and obviously being around Ben, who was really, really tall. You know, I'm a young kid. He can dunk. He can shoot. Like, he used to always play defense where he'd get his arms real low, and I, like, couldn't dribble around, so I had to figure out, like, how to keep the ball tight and not get back tapped. Like, all of those are early core memories of being around Ben and playing basketball and seeing him at soccer tournaments, because I played soccer with Noah. So, you know, he was always that taller, older kid there that was yelling at fans and, you know, yelling at the refs and screaming and whatnot, getting thrown out. So
I do like to say to everybody that I've never been thrown out or given a tech. I don't think I've even gotten a tech as a head coach. I think I've gotten one as an assistant coach, and it wasn't even my fault. But I've been thrown out of 2 games, and they were both watching you and my brother play basketball.
8th grade and senior year?
Yep.
8th grade and junior year, maybe?
And I about got thrown out of a soccer game once for yelling
Yep.
at the ref as
Yep.
well. So, but my first court memory of basketball was from Upward when I was in like 2nd grade, and there was this old granny that was our coach, and she brought in
Ruth
cookies.
It was Ruth Ann.
We were in Missouri at this time.
Oh, okay.
But
She found you.
her pregame was she brought in cookies. All right. And I was like, dude, cookies, let's go. And then she handed out the wristbands, and then handed us all a little fruit bag, you know, like one of those little fruit punch bags. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. I love basketball.
That's all you need to get kids' attention.
And I get
to play.
out there and we go play, and my dad's like, what are you guys doing? I was like, I don't know. We got cookies.
Oh my God! The amount of times we see that as coaches now too. Like, 'cause I don't know. I'm just here.
Like we were just out there hanging around. My dad was sitting there trying not to yell because there's just a couple of grannies who were volunteering their time, and you know we were just so young that didn't really matter. So, but that was like my first core memory. Was like, oh wait, I get cookies before the game and after the game. Let's go.
This is my favorite sport now. This is my identity until
Dude,
I'm dead.
I played soccer, and they put me in goal because I was kind of tall, and they started kicking the ball at me. I was like, get me out of here. They're kicking the ball at me. I played football one year, and I get hit by 2 future college football players. I'm like, get me out of here. But basketball, they give me cookies before the game. I'm in.
Yep. That's funny, dude. I never got the Upward experience, but I could definitely see how it goes. You just kind of, your parents take you there on a Saturday morning, and you suit up in whatever shoes you got on, and you just kind of run around. I mean, maybe if you're in 6th grade, you know, it gets a little bit more technical. But for the most part, you're just there for the camaraderie. I get to see my buddies and eat and drink, and I feel like that's the core memory experience for a lot of people who started basketball, is starting at Upward and just getting to hang out with their buddies.
What are some things you've learned about yourself over the last few years, whether that's in coaching or training, and just kind of like your basketball journey over the last few years, post high school and whatnot?
I've learned a lot. The biggest thing that I've actually noticed in the past probably 2 months, not from myself noticing, but from other people telling me, is I have unreal patience. And I think that half of that I've gotten from Ben, but I haven't always had that patience, that ability to kind of like, I wouldn't say I was ever a crash out really, but I definitely let things going on that I couldn't control get inside of my head and affect the way that I would act or affect the way that I would perform on the court. So I'm still working on the patience thing outside of basketball. Like, I can definitely get riled up whenever I'm in here working or whenever I'm, hanging out with buddies, arguing about sports or whatever, or arguing about life. But when it comes to basketball, I've realized, especially in the past 6 months, like I've got unreal patience for the process and how long it takes for younger kids and uncoordinated kids and unathletic kids to kind of get it. And it doesn't mean that they can't get it. You just might have to do it over and over and over and over. And I think that in today's day and age, social media glamorizes just getting it done with fast. It's like, oh, well, they just posted that and that progression was in 60 seconds. So this is supposed to happen really, really fast. And it's not, especially whenever you're training and coaching and working with kids. So I think basketball relates to life a lot, and I think that there's a lot of things that you can learn through working hard and going through hardships, whether it be, injuries or whether it be losing games or whether it be not getting playing time. But for me, the thing that I realized most is it's really, really tested my patience, being able to still stay locked in, still, do what I love and give it all I got and be able to focus in whenever I need to. It's hard with kids. It's really, really hard with kids. And when you're doing something you love and you're naturally good at it, and now someone's paying you to, whether it's like actually coaching during the season or whether it's like a one-on-one training, they're paying you to not only develop their basketball skills, but also develop who they are as a kid. And the only time you get to work with that kid is the 2 hours a day, or in my case, training like an hour and 15 minutes every week. It's tough. It's tough. You tell them one thing for an hour and 15 minutes straight, and they come back for the next 3 weeks, and you still have to do that same thing over and over and over and over. So I think that leads to life a lot. It's definitely what I've learned most is just the ability to be patient. It is what it is. Like, they're trying, you're trying. It's all a process, and if it was all about getting to the end result, then we would all just, snap our fingers and get there. But it's not. You got to put in the work, and that's why the work is beautiful. And I think that's also why I've learned to be patient, is because I like the work. Coach Sham's I'll shout out Coach Sham real quick. He's got a quote that says, if you love the process, you'll love what the process produces. And so it's like, if you can somehow focus on being patient and just staying steady in work, at some point you will be rewarded. And I think that that's where my patience comes from, is just knowing that if I just keep going, it might be tomorrow, it might be next week, it might be, 3 or 4 years from now, but eventually the work will show. So my patience for sure. What about you? What do you think?
I think mine goes in that same line. Mine is understanding. It's understanding that you don't know what that person that's next to you has been through that day. You don't know how much food they ate. You don't know how much sleep they got. You don't know how their parents are doing them or treating them. You don't know how the rest of their home life is. You don't know if they have both parents. Parents are separated. Whatever the case may be, you have no idea what's going on in their life. You have no idea even if all that is great, if they're depressed, if they have some mental things going on, if their girlfriend broke up with them, if their wife is being having a bad time that month. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever it is, you don't understand or you don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. So you just have to understand that people are going to have bad days. They're going to be in bad moods. They're not going to work hard every single day.
They're not going to know what you're going through either, and they don't care.
And they don't care. And that's, women care a lot about their emotions. And I have to, explain this to different people sometimes or remind my wife of this, is like, you have no idea what the other person's going through, but you also have to understand that they don't think about what you're going through, and they do not care.
Yeah.
Like, even nice people are going to be a little selfish and not care what's going on.
Yeah.
Like I said, they don't know. They don't know that you're having a bad day. They don't know that you didn't get enough sleep. They don't know that you're feeling sick that day and you've got a stomach ache. Like, They don't know. They don't care. They're trying to live their lives. And so as a coach and as a business owner as well, like as a leader, I've definitely had to take a step back and not be everything can't be like so, foot on the line. Like it's either like this or like that. There has
Black
to
and
be
white.
just a little bit of wiggle room,
A little
like
bit of gray area.
a little bit of grace.
Yeah.
Like that gray room, I like to call that grace.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of grace, you get a little bit of that, but at some point we do have to put our foot down and say, like, I understand what's going on. I understand you have something going on, but we have to, get back in line and do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. That's
So,
tough love too. It's
you
really
gotta-
tough to do as a coach.
You got to be understanding, but we can't be so soft, because as generations go on, it keeps getting softer and softer, and so we can't feed into that. But we also can be understanding and listen and feel out when people are having a tough time.
And this kind of backtracks, but I think that this is also a great point for why we want to do this podcast. I think that me and Ben are two great examples of people who we want it to be foot on the line. You know what I mean? Like we want to push people. We want to be pushed ourselves. We want to get the very best of us that we can. But at the same time, like he said, we do understand it's just not like that all the time. There's days where, you're just getting old and you feel it. Or there's days where there's no money in the bank account. There's no motivation. And there's days where there's just stuff going on that most people wouldn't understand. And so, you might be able to give 100% today, but the person next to you might only be able to give 50. And so that's where you've got to pick it up and vice versa. And I think that that's something that we want to be able to preach on this podcast, is like the ability to still push yourself in life, but at the same time, don't burn yourself out and don't expect to hold people to the highest standard that you hold yourself to, thinking they're going to be able to uplift that, because you don't understand what people are going through and people don't understand what you're going through. So that's a really, really good point, and that's something that I can vouch for Ben. Like I've learned that from Ben the past year, is how to be understanding, how to be patient. I can't tell you how many times, calls come through that phone and it's just like, oh, you're testing me today. Like, what is going on? But it's our job to make it as right as possible, no matter how they're treating us, and not dish out whatever is getting dished on us. And Ben really does a great job of keeping everybody calm around here. And it's like, if you can't handle it, give it to Ben. He's going to get it figured out. And so he really reaps what he sows there.
It's like I always get my buttons pushed, and there's been my times where I get tested and my switch flips. But most of the time I've learned and I've seen from different people, like a Staples, who's just like something crazy will happen. He'll just react in the most calm way possible. And I look at him crazy, because I'm like,
do you even realize what just happened?
Like, do you not have emotions? Like, what's going on right now? Like, are you not going to say anything? And like, but he's just trying to understand, be calm, read the situation, read the room, and don't overreact. Because once you overreact, you've lost any grounds that you might have to an argument to be right or wrong or whatever the case may be. So there's been a lot of people in my life who I've definitely had to learn that from, and I've had to grow into that. And that's not something you just get. And I'm still working on it every single day.
We all are.
And I have my days where I am not being understanding, I'm being selfish, and I'm only thinking about myself. But I try to remind myself that everybody else has a life they're trying to live, and my life's not more important than anybody else's.
Yeah, that's good. That's really, really good.
Let's ask these last two questions.
I kind of answered this one. I feel like being an influence is really, really important in today's day and age for those two reasons. A lot of people don't have patience, they don't have understanding, and so when you can bridge the gap between, people who don't know what's going on and people who do, and you can be like, all right, listen, I understand your point of view. I understand you've grinded and got to where you are over the past 10, 15 years doing what you're doing, and I'm learning a lot from you. But at the same time, I can also understand that person that is from Southern Illinois and was born in Southern Illinois and was dealt the cards they were dealt. And I think that we can be two people that, we're trying to make it out. We're trying to make it work. We're trying to, like he said, not necessarily become famous, but become something that we can be proud of at the end of the day. And I think that having this podcast and being able to document our journey, being influenced to younger kids, being influenced to older generations, kind of get outside of our comfort zone, bridge the gap between basketball and faith, and hardworking people and lazier people, like just kind of trying to open everyone's perspectives into all different parts of life, as well as preach what we know about basketball and what we've learned in our life and everything else that I've already mentioned. Like, there's so many reasons we want to do it, but I think the biggest reason is we live in a day and age where there is influencers and there is people who they're a basketball player, but they use their voice, or they're a business owner, but they use their voice, or they're a politician, but they use their voice. Like, there's plenty of different routes you can take to using your voice today, and you don't have to just be one thing. And so I think that me and Ben loving basketball, loving talking about, stuff on our podcast and getting outside of just the small talk type stuff, that combined with, I've thought about this earlier before the podcast, and then I just remembered it. When I was a kid, a lot of coaches complimented me on just being able to lead by example. And so I think that most influencers are good at leading by an example, whether that's a coach, a trainer, a public figure, a podcaster, a teacher, anything. Influencer being anything, not an influencer as in like a content creator, an influencer as in someone who influences people. That's something that I feel like I've been since I was a kid, even on accident. And so why not step into that role now of putting myself out there, documenting the journey, trying to, bring kids along and create good young human beings and good young strong men who are mentally stable and physically stable. I think that doing a podcast is just another way to branch out and do that. So I'd say that's my biggest one.
And if you've made it this far into the podcast, we say thank you to you. We're doing this for you.
Yeah.
Like, this, as much as it is for us, and like, we really are enjoying this. This has been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying learning all this new stuff and just talking. We've had great conversation with Ross, had fun with Braden.
Yeah.
We've recorded a couple by ourselves and just had good conversation. But this is for you. This is for the listener. This is for, if you've made it this far, I want you to understand that this is for you.
Yep.
And we thank you for listening. Sure. And this next question is for you as well. I just want to ask.
I'll go first.
I want to ask you first. Where are you in your faith journey? And we don't have to go full Ross because we don't want to go for another 30 minutes. But
Ross,
I just want to kind of.
Ross, if you're listening to this, we appreciate you. That was really, really good. That was amazing.
If you haven't listened to the Ross pod, pause this. Go back now. Listen to part 2 of the Ross interview. Part 1's amazing, but part 2.
Bro dove right in.
Dude, I could almost cry with just like, I could have never imagined it going that deep and him opening up like that.
That was really
and
good.
So, like, I can't do this podcast unless I at least bring faith into it. And so I'm not going to make that what this is all about every single time, but I cannot go any longer and without saying what needs to be said.
For sure.
And so we're going to talk about our faith in this part. And if it's something that makes you uncomfortable, I understand. Go ahead and click off now. We understand. But maybe we're all here to listen to different perspectives. We all have, me and him have very different faith backgrounds. Even my own brother and sister have very different faith backgrounds. So what we're just going to talk about a little bit. We're going to wrap up pretty soon, but we want to talk about this for at least a little bit, is where you're at in your faith journey.
Everywhere. Up and down a lot. When I was a kid, I was just brought into it. That's just how my family was. My mom's religious, my Mimi's religious, and all of the other family members that I have are either very religious or they at least believe in God. So it was just something that from a young age, there's a God, and I believe that and have, I think, always believed in that. But just like any young kid going through it and being exposed to social media and being exposed to what's going on in today's day and age, I've definitely went through the up and downs. I've definitely been in the agnostic spot, the spot where it's like, I don't really know, and I'm not afraid to admit that because there's a lot of things that I went through that I'm still figuring out as an adult, that I'm still trying to heal from, whether it was bad or not, doesn't matter. Trauma's trauma, and the way that you experience life is just how you experience it, so you have to heal from it. And I think that those things that I went through as a kid or may have gone through definitely influenced the way I felt as I got older. But within the past probably year, for sure, I have definitely steered closer to God again and been reading a lot more of the Word, listening to a lot more. I used to be the type of person that was like, you know what, I don't even really want to hear the worship music anymore. It just kind of doesn't make me feel the same way. It makes me feel a little awkward. But being around Ben and having conversations with Ben and being able to be almost fully open. I mean, we've had a lot of conversations about it in here, and he's answered a lot of the very, very deep questions that I've had about it. So I think that as we go more and more into the podcast, we're always going to talk about our faith at some point in the podcast. So I think that I'll open up a lot more. But for the most part, where I can put it right now is that I'm learning a lot, and I'm being tested to go out and actually not just try to like feel the high of like worshiping, but more so create the relationship. And I think that a lot of people like to think that being a Christian or being religious is living by the rules, and I'm starting to learn as I get older, it is having a relationship with God. And I think that that was what I made a mistake of first, is just trying to find that high, trying to find that like, oh yeah, I'm really feeling it right now, or that really hits home, and it's not always going to be that way. So as I've gotten older, I've definitely matured a lot more in my faith, and I've matured a lot more as a person, and Ben has helped me. And I think the Charlie Kirk stuff going on a lot in the U.S. lately has really kind of influenced me to be like, you know, maybe I don't know what I believe. Maybe I do believe fully 100%, but I need to figure that out for myself. And so it's made me kind of make decisions to go listen to the Word more and go dive in. And I won't lie, I use a lot of Chat GPT to explain things to me because I'm really, really dumb. Like, I can't read. And so if you put the verse in Chat GPT and you ask it to apply it to your life and apply it to what's going on right now and in the world and all that different stuff, it really helps you out. So I definitely believe in God, love God. I'm creating a relationship with God. I'm looking to get back into the church sometime soon. But it's definitely tested me the last couple of years, going through COVID, graduating during COVID, going through breakups, even though that's not as big a deal as it seems to some people. When you're a young kid, you do that. You create your identity in someone else. And if there's anything that I can tell a younger kid right now listening is just create your identity in yourself and who you are, and create it in Jesus Christ. So I'll leave it at that for right now. I think that's pretty good, and I think that you'll probably finish the next 10 minutes up. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Praise God.
I mean, everybody in my family, up until like a few years ago, all the adults like that were older, were all either a teacher, a preacher, or in the medical field. So like everybody in my family, for the most part, has faith, as a preacher and a preacher's family, something along those lines. So like I've never been able to avoid it. It's always been part of my life. Church has always been part of my life. There have been many years that I have faked it, many years where I have gone through the motions, shown up, Sunday and Wednesday because, my dad's a youth pastor, so I got to go on Wednesday nights too. So Sundays I'm there twice, Wednesday I'm there on the evenings. And so like I'm just going through the motions, showing up, hanging out with my friends, and, sitting in the pews and twiddling with my thumbs. Like he said, I've been on those, you go on the summer trips and you go to these big events with all these people, and you get to feel the high of like, you can feel all the people coming together to worship, and that's real. Like I'm not saying that it's not real, but what I'm saying is if you don't find a way to apply that to your everyday life, then that is all for nothing. Because you'll go up and get a high. It'd be like smoking crack. You go smoke crack and you come down so hard that you'll never be able to recover from that. So sometimes when we do that, it's hard to level back out. Yeah. And so for me, getting to play the drums in church for the last 15 years has been something that has kept me connected. It's been my excuse to go to church for the wrong reasons sometimes. And so in the last few years, being married and understanding that a relationship isn't about how you're feeling. It's about, how the other person's feeling. It's about what are you doing to help them out? What are they doing? It's not about like, did I clean up for her? Did she clean up for me? It's about, did we get that done? All right, cool. Now we can both rest and be together. So that's also what God commands is like, it's not about following the rules, but when you're in a relationship with somebody, you just do it. Like when you have a true relationship with someone, you just feel like it's the right thing to do. And so that's kind of where I've come back more towards, because, you graduate high school and you kind of get to decide for yourself, finally, what do I believe? Which way am I going to go? And there was a few years where I just kind of didn't go to church, or didn't really believe, or didn't know what to believe. And I would have conversations and argue and, question everything, even my own life at one point. So where I'm at now is there is no way that God is not real. Logically, if there is a God and I believe in him and I believe Jesus Christ died for my sins and there's a heaven and a hell, when I die, I believe I will go to heaven. If there's not a God and I believe in God and I was wrong and there is no God, I lived a good life believing and having faith and loving everyone around me. So I feel like it's a win-win either way. So there's no logical reason not to follow. It's the most historically accurate event in history. The Bible is the most historically proven document in history. There is no logical reason for you not to be a Christian. There's a lot of emotional ones. There's a lot of baggage that you have to deal with. But God doesn't ask for you to come clean. Like, he doesn't ask. You don't go to the hospital when you're healthy. You go to it when you're sick. And so whenever you have fallen, whenever you need something, go to God, because he has allowed that to happen so that you can see you can't do it by yourself.
Yep.
You need God in your life. And that's where I've gotten to, because I've been knocked down to my knees enough times now that I look back up and remember, oh yeah, I was trying to do that myself again.
Yeah.
I got to rely on God.
Yeah.
And so
That's good.
I've felt that passion a lot more, especially like he said with the Charlie Kirk thing and just the rally and like seeing all the other people, the Ohio State football team last year, seeing all those kids, like the best kids on the best team in the nation were leading rallies in their team, in the school. Then Charlie Kirk dies and there's rallies all across the nation.
Yeah.
So there's no way that right now I can just sit back and not say what has to be said and live the way it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to live.
That's a conversation we had before we even got to doing our first podcast, was like, do we want to talk about faith? Yes, we do, but why? And it's like we just feel like we can't sit here and just shut up, because we come from two different faith backgrounds that have both led us to God, and I feel like it's definitely worth it for other people, other kids from around here to hear how we've gone through it. I mean, like I said, I grew up in a family that was all about church, especially when I was a kid. And then you go through seasons where you don't go as much, or family members go to different churches and you get caught up in the wrong places, and it happens. But I think that being able to sit here and talk about your experience is obviously good for both of us, because it makes it a little bit uncomfortable and creates strength in us, and also helps us become better talkers and better storytellers and able to get our point out. But at the same time, it also helps you guys, like we said a second ago, see that you're not the only one. Everyone goes through it. We didn't even open up fully. We shelled ourselves talking about this. So if you need anything, we're always here for sure. You can always reach out to us, whether it be through any of our social medias, or you find our number, or you can't get a hold of any of us, so you just walk in here into Wiffle Boys one day, Tuesday through Sunday. Like, we're open at 11 a.m. You can come, you can ask questions, you can hit us up. It doesn't matter. We would love to be here for you. But I think that was one of the biggest things we talked about before, was like, we can't, with what's going on in America and everything that the kids are going through and all of the addictions that you have to try to fight, and dealing with the phone chaos and dealing with all the, different point of views and the gun violence. And like, we don't want to sit here and talk politics, but we just want to sit here and talk and be able to get stuff off of our chest that other people need to hear.
Well, if you've made it this far, I just want to say that I'm praying for you. I'm hoping that God finds you and speaks to you, and you get to feel his presence and his love, because he loves you and he sent his son to die for you. And he wants you to be in heaven with him. But we're all sinners and we have all fallen short. And so that's how we're going to wrap it up. You can't be wrapped up on anything more important than that.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Believe, Ball, Become. This is what it's all about. Believing in something. We both believe in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. We believe in ourselves. We believe that we can do anything through him. Yeah. We go out there and ball. We come into work and we ball, and we've become the people we have today, and we're still working on who we're going to become. So this is the journey. This is how we're going to do it. This is what we're doing. This is what it's all about. Thanks for listening to our podcast.
6-7.